On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 117 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, and I hope you heeded his warning and did not take your kids to see the Joker last week, Mr. Leighton Pip Shaventone.
If you did, I'm sorry for you. But Drake, didn't have people believe that their phones can hear them? Like they'll have a conversation with somebody, then go on Instagram or Facebook and then see an ad for something along the lines of what they discussed on the phone?
No, that is 100% true.
So yesterday morning, me and my girlfriend, Jake will attest, I keep my house cold during the winter time.
Freezing cold.
Like, it does not hit 7 at any point in time.
Freezing cold.
And me and her had talked about going to see the Bengals play the Patriots in Cincinnati in December. She woke up, she was like, it's cold in your house. I don't want to go to that game. It can be too cold. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, shut up, it's going to be fine. And then she was on Facebook, I shit you not, on there is an ad for a stadium seat warmer.
A stadium seat warmer.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Did not know that was a thing.
But it literally, it's just a giant seat warmer. You put it into your seat. Do you know how they have like those, like, bleacher backs? It's one of those. But it goes in a stadium seat and it heats.
Do you think it was the phone or your Amazon Alexa?
It's a twist. I don't know.
Alexa can hear you everywhere.
One of those two things got a hold of it though.
That's just bizarre, dude.
she said, because I went to work seeing a picture, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Dippers, be sure to listen on Spotify, iTunes. Be sure to give us that 5-star review. Be sure to check out Instagram, Twitter, at The Saucy Pod. So today, we will break down Week 6 NFL recap. We will talk about some of the storylines, talk about college football, Week 7, talk about our previews for Week 8, get a little bit of MLB chatter going on. The championship series are underway. Both series have played 2 games apiece. So, wait and see. Let's go ahead and start it off like we start almost every show during football season. NFL Word Association recap for Week 6 and biggest winner.
Miami Dolphins.
Ryan Tannehill and Titans fans. So, Marcus Mariota got past the 50-yard line. Do you know how many times latency in 3.5 quarters played?
How many times?
0. Ryan Tannehill got him past the 50-yard line twice in 2 drives. The Titans have scored 7 or fewer points 3 times in 6 games this season. Marcus Mariota, hot seat. Biggest loser.
The Redskins. They won the game. They had to lose.
2015 first-round quarterbacks. Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota? The answer? Neither. Surprise.
Kirk Cousins didn't yell, "You like that," yesterday after the game.
49ers. When you spend 4 of your first picks in the last 5 drafts on the defensive line, that unit will turn out pretty good, especially when 3 were in the top 7 picks. Disappointment.
Kirk Cousins didn't yell, "You like that," after yesterday's game.
Jared Goff, last 15 games. 3 300-yard games, 3,500 passing yards. 3 games of 2 or more touchdowns. 15 interceptions, 14 touchdowns, 14 fumbles. Impact injury.
Amari Cooper.
That's all you have to say.
It's a big one.
Dude, okay. Amari Cooper played 3 snaps this week, so he let his team game plan all week like he was going to be healthy, and then boom, 3 snaps in, realized he wasn't healthy enough to go.
Was he hurt like during the week at all? Cause I didn't see any reports of him being on the injury status or anything.
Well, they just said he retweaked his hamstring, so I assume that there had to have been something in the water.
So yeah, he probably tweaked it last week. Didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, fine.
He's the new Julio Jones. He just has all these random injuries, just like every week, boom, foot. Next week, quad.
What do they have in common?
That's the only thing they have in common.
It's Alabama.
Oh.
Calvin's going to be next. Judy's going to come up soon.
Oh,
Ruggs, stay away from them all.
Yeah, stay away from Alabama wide receivers, guys. Will Dissly. Actually, this is like a believe it or not type thing. I never thought Will Dissly be an impact injury. They believe that he tore his Achilles. It hasn't been confirmed as of now. Coming into this week, Will Dissly had caught 23 of his 26 passes. That's an 89% catch percentage, which is just absolutely ridiculous. 262 yards, 4 touchdowns. WTF moment of the week.
Miami has 13 second half points all season, and they all came yesterday.
What?
Miami has 13 second half points all season, they all came yesterday. After Fitzmagic came in the game for Josh Rosen.
Did they not? I mean, what were they doing putting Josh Rosen out there? Like, you knew he did not give you a better chance to win.
They didn't want to win the game. They're the biggest winner because they lost the game.
They are the biggest winner because they lost it. Oh, my goodness, man. 13 points all came from Fitzmagic.
Yep.
I thought he was going to pull it off. Andy Reid, 9 carries for running backs 2 weeks ago. 9 carries from running backs this week. Andy, I diagnosed your team. Overreaction.
Sam Darnold is who we thought he was. By we, I mean you and I.
Adam Gase has it figured out. So we're thinking on the same wavelength there. That's unbelievable. Adam Gase might be the best coach in the NFL at this point.
I mean, honestly, think about it. Adam gets his career since Peyton Manning. Gone to the Bears. Who's the quarterback there?
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler. He was, if you're telling it Brian Hoyer here on out, still would have his guy. Went to Miami. Complete dumpster fire in Miami. I can't tell you who the quarterback was there. Ryan Tannehill.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler, Ryan Tannehill. They often heard they have his guy. Went to New York. Had the guy for one game. Then the guy got mono from doing God knows what out of New York. Then came back 5 weeks later. Boom. Beat the Cowboys at home.
You know what? I might have a theory with this. At halftime, I can't say certainly, but I'm almost positive that the Jets were up 16-0 at halftime against the Bills, right?
They might have been.
I know it was like a 16-17 game. Maybe he can.
The Bills came back.
Yeah, they came back.
Yeah.
Maybe Sam Darnold the mono started to set in at halftime.
Maybe that's what it was. I never had mono. I heard it coming to strep throat, and strep throat's awful.
So with a quarterback that's completely healthy, Adam Gase this year I think is 1.5-0.
So did that justify his being hired to endless job positions throughout his career?
You have to.
Had the problem been fixed?
The problem has been fixed. The Jets, they may be back on track for a Super Bowl this year.
Do you think the Jets ownership will put a babysitter on Donald that did on Des Bryant to keep him out of trouble?
It's a very good possibility.
Keep him healthy?
Keep him healthy.
You have any thoughts for us?
Yes, I do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Run Up magazine.
St. Louis Cardinals. If they weren't allowed to take a bat up to the plate the first 5 innings of the first 2 games of this series, they would have the exact amount of hits that they already have in this series. If you look up the word savage in the dictionary, you'd find a picture of Carlos Correa in the playoffs against the New York Yankees. New Orleans Saints. Drew who? Phillip Rivers, down 24-0 heading into the 4th quarter. Did we really expect him to not figure out a way to have the ball down 1 score with less than a minute to go in the game? Miami Dolphins. The play that you will look back on as the play that saved your season will be the drop by Kenyon Drake on the 2-point conversion to ensure that your team will have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Hashtag tank for Joe Burrow. Baltimore Ravens almost had us convinced that they wouldn't have to run Lamar Jackson 15 times in a game to win. 19 carries later, they beat the 0-5 Bengals by 1 score. Imagine going to every NFL game in London this year and never watching football outside of that. Like I said last week, you'd believe that Derek Carr and John Gruden are competent. The Bears' defense is garbage. This week, you learn that Christian McCaffrey is extremely inefficient on offense. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are electric. And maybe the only truth that you have received so far is that there's nobody in the world like Jameis Winston. And there's a new book out this week. It's titled Till Death Do Us Part. And it was written by Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones. And those have been my thoughts. All right, latency. So, week 6 storylines. Skip Bayless. He is now rolling over in his shallow grave that the Cowboys have dug for him. Cowboys just lost to the Jets 24-22. Does this make you worry about the Super Bowl hopes that you had for the Cowboys coming into this season?
No, absolutely not. They'll be fine. It's, just a little gully on the salt trip to Super Bowl. But I don't know. Like, when you think about the Cowboys going forward this season, like, nothing's gonna change.
Absolutely,
because this is Jason Garrett's contract year, so it's a little bust for him. He's not gonna get fired. There'd be no point. They're not gonna extend Dak this season now. They're not gonna bring anybody else in. They gotta hope that Tyler Smith, L. Collins, and Cooper just get healthy, and then they have to find some kind of spark because they come out in so many games flat. I read a stat earlier. I think they have like the past 3 games, 1 touchdown in the first half, maybe touchdown in the first half.
Man, Kellen Moore's really scripting those plays well.
But see what happens is, Drake, NFL teams, they get your tape. Okay?
Believe it or not.
Kellen, listen, man, newsflash. They know what they're going to do. They know you're going to try to throw it to Amari Cooper every time, and it's not luck till you do it. Another thing, Michael Gallup, since week 2, have been basically irrelevant. I think he had 1 long catch against the Saints, but that'd be all he had.
Yeah. Well, offense has been terrible.
Yeah, no. Defense, wishy-washy. They could do better yesterday. They probably should get me points to the Jets, who basically have Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell, but still, the offense has to score more than 21 points.
Yeah, you forgot about Jameis Crowder because apparently, I think in the last...
Oh, he had 14 catches week 1.
Yeah, 14 catches week 1. I think he had 9 this week for 60 yards. He's right on pace for what he's been doing, 4 yards per carry, or 4 yards per catch. He's the new and improved Jarvis Landry.
Sam Darnold's guy.
The Cowboys, so I saw this stat and I thought it was really interesting. The Cowboys, they were the first team since 1991 to win the time of possession battle, have more yards, have a better turnover ratio, 25 first downs and convert 10 third down conversions, and lose. First team since 1991 to have all those things and lose. I just feel like this is a really, really weird football team, and it's exactly the football team that we thought they would be, except for the fact that they just like to pass the ball too much. I don't understand that. If you just walk out there, first drive of the game, hand the ball off to Zeke Elliott 10 times, there's absolutely no way you're not going to put up 3 points on the board. I looked over, so in Zeke Elliott's career, in games that he has had 3 yards or fewer per carry, they're 0-5. Anytime he has 4 or few yards per carry, they're 8-9. And then you go all the way up to if he has 5 yards per carry or more, they're 12-2. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think the only people that legitimately think that you can just put the ball in Dak Prescott's hands every single time and win the game is Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore, Will Kane, and Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
Those are the only 4 people in the world. If the Cowboys get back to just hammering Zeke over and over and over, I know that he still had his 20-plus carries this week, but, it's nothing for a game like this where the offense is struggling just to give him 30 carries. Mm-hmm. It's nothing for them. I don't understand where this team's going to go from here. They're going to kind of have to reinvent the offense and maybe take a step back in order to take a step forward. Over the last 2 weeks, this team does not look like a playoff team, let alone a Super Bowl contender. The talent is absolutely there. You can point fingers at the fact that your starting tackles weren't healthy, but you just lost to the Jets.
Yeah, and staying on Elliott, so he has 20-plus carries, but he needs to have the ball. Look, this team is not made to come from behind and win the game. They're going to win the game by scoring a touchdown on 2 out of 3 possessions every single game. Because if they get down by 16 points and 17 points, it's hard for them to make that up because that defense isn't. It can't stop everybody every time. And the offense just obviously cannot score every time. So you got Elliott, he hits the ball more. And also, he's not getting any catches at all this year.
Yeah.
He's on pace for staggering drop-off and receptions.
You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember whenever DeMarco Murray went to the Eagles and they just did not use him correctly at all, and they were just running everything out of shotgun, and you're taking this downhill runner and you're making him go side to side before he even touches the line of scrimmage? Mm-hmm. That's exactly what this offense is doing to Ezekiel Elliott. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be more of the same until they realize just exactly what they have, when they should have known all along that they have one of the best players in the NFL at the running back position. You have to be more efficient with Zeke Elliott, and you can't be running everything out of shotgun with this team. So, the Chiefs, another team we thought that would be going to the Super Bowl this year, just lost to the Texans. And Patrick Mahomes, the last 3 games, has actually looked like a human being. Does this make the Chiefs look more like a beatable team, or do you think that this makes the Texans look more like an AFC contender?
A little bit of both. We started with the Chiefs, but for 3 weeks in a row now, the Chiefs haven't looked all that good. They've been basically getting injured every single week. Mahomes had ankle banged up. Anytime he gets tackled anymore, you see him upon that ankle for a few plays until he gets stretched back out. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm not sure who they play next week. If it's an easy opponent, I might consider not playing Patrick Mahomes next week.
Yes.
And then if you're the Texans, look, Deshaun Watson's a star. Like, Deshaun Watson can lead you to a Super Bowl if you don't do 2 go routes within 2 yards of each other at the end of a half, which we saw yesterday.
No, that was absolutely ridiculous.
Like, you have to, Bill O'Brien, you have to call a better game, and Deshaun Watson can lead you to the promised land. You just have to give him pitches to succeed.
Wasn't it a fourth and 1, and they threw a go route over to Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins running a straight line? It was Kiki
Cootie and DeAndre Hopkins.
Kiki Cootie and DeAndre Hopkins running the same exact route right next to each other. Like, you could have had one guy out there to defend that.
Yep.
And I don't understand that stuff. This is a game that they could probably win just because Bill O'Brien will actually be efficient running the ball against the Chiefs. So I feel like if they played the Chiefs again, you'd almost have to lean in the fact that they will beat the Chiefs. But whenever they play a team that's a little more stout on defense, the Texans are obviously going to struggle. I really don't think that I learned anything else this week about either one of these teams. Like, I knew coming into this week that Patrick Mahomes just isn't right. I knew coming into this week that Bill O'Brien still has horrific play calling and does not utilize his players in the right way. I mean, yes, Carlos Hyde had a field day, but everybody has a field day running the ball in the Chiefs. And then the fact that they were up by 7 points. Patrick Mahomes is standing on the other sideline. There's 2.5 minutes to go or something, and they are in obvious field goal range, and it's 4th and 3, and they go for it. They were unbelievably lucky that worked. Yeah. Because if it doesn't, you are putting Patrick Mahomes back out there, 1-score game, 2.5 minutes left.
But you didn't stop him. No, he was human that game.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a good pass. Deshaun Watson threw it in the dirt, and DeAndre Hopkins just happened to be DeAndre Hopkins and convert. So I don't know. I think that if you look at what I actually learned from this game, I really don't know if it was that much. So Kirk Cousins looks like he's actually stolen the powers of Patrick Mahomes. Threw for 333 yards this week, 4 touchdowns against the Eagles. A lot of people thought that the Eagles were a Super Bowl contender, and the Vikings were the definition of a pretender coming into this season due to Kirk Cousins' poor play. What do you make of this game?
So we talked about last week how Kirk Cousins showed up against bad defenses. Going into yesterday, the teams with worse pass defenses than the Eagles were the Bucs, Giants, and Cardinals.
Wow.
So they're 4th worst in the defense in the league, but they're really good at stopping the run.
Yes, absolutely. Great.
And they did that. So Kirk Cousins had to show up play. Kirk Cousins, to his credit, stepped up and made big throws. He got a 52 and 62-yard touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs, really helped things out. So that's great for him. But like we said, he tears up bad defenses. Nevertheless, very encouraging sign for Viking fans. Viking fans should be happy. But I'm telling you, stay wary of the fact that team is a bad defense.
Yes, terrible defense.
Now going forward, the schedule for the Vikings is great. They don't play another great defense until they play the Patriots in week 10 or 11.
Okay, well that's
so they have several weeks and they can win. They can win a lot of games in a row here. And the NFC North is going to be really, really tight this season because the Lions can win games. The Lions, it's in every single year the team that can get right next to the win and then lose it. This year they actually won that game once.
Yeah, and speaking of the Lions, dude, if Kerryon Johnson didn't get stripped at the 1-yard line, we'd be talking about a Chiefs team that was 3-3 right now.
Yeah,
I mean that's just kind of crazy to think about. But with Kirk Cousins, do you remember what I said in the Saucy Six Pack whenever we were picking this game? This is going to be the game that Kirk Cousins absolutely explodes and everybody's going to lose their mind. We knew this defense was terrible.
Yeah.
Just so happens Kirk Cousins exploited it. I mean, you look at the Falcons beat him through it with an air attack. The Packers actually lost to him, but Aaron Rodgers was absolutely terrific that day. Threw for over 400 yards. I think that we're in a weird spot where the NFC East really has no elite teams, and you could really make the argument that the NFC North has 4 teams that can beat anybody on any given day.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. I think I moved the Vikings up a little bit more close to the actual contender ranking, but we knew it was a porous defense, so don't buy into this. Leighton last week gave like the best analogy of Kirk Cousins of all time. He said he's Alex Smith, but with ups and downs.
Yeah.
So with what he means by that is that, with Alex Smith, you're going to get a consistent like 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, and like 8 picks in the season, and he's just going to, every single game is going to be his average. Kirk Cousins, he's going to have a game where he throws for 100 yards, the next game he'll go for 330. It's going to average out, you know what he's on pace for this season?
What's on pace for?
3,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
That's literally mediocre as hell.
That is absolutely Alex Smith.
Like, that's Alex Smith. Yeah, like, that is what you get with Alex Smith.
Yeah, like...
But no, you don't get 4,000 yards, you don't get a ton of touchdowns, you don't get many picks.
Yeah, like, you have to, in the eyes of most people, fewer than 10 turnovers, quality season.
Yep.
25 or more touchdowns, quality season. 35 or more yards, 3,500 more yards, quality season. All from the quarterback position, he's going to hit those right on the number.
Yep.
It's just, whenever you said that last week, I was like, that is the best example I've ever heard of Kirk Cousins.
Yep. Kirk Cousins will keep his job for one more year if he does that.
Oh, yeah. And he'll ride this contract out at least.
Yep.
So maybe a guy who might not have his job back. Cam Newton. We look at Kyle Allen. He has kept the Magic alive with a win against the Bucks. Now we're looking at a quarterback. He's 4-0 as a starting quarterback this year. 901 yards, 7 touchdowns. Most important stat for this team, 0 interceptions. Is Cam Newton's job now too far gone to get it back this season?
Okay, so you asked this question, I think, 3rd week in a row? We brought this up, maybe? 2nd week for sure? Okay, this is the first time I feel like actually okay you're asking it, because now they're actually argument team made for it.
This is something we're going to write out and feel like it's controversial.
This is something that kind of point of this way you kind of expect now. And not since we say that this week, Kyle Allen will throw for like 101 yards, 5 picks, 1 fumble. Like, it's just awful game this week. But no, so like if you're the Panthers, you're going to ride this out. Like, this is Kyle Allen's job too at this point in time, because regardless of who is more talented quarterback, Cam Newton or Kyle Allen, Allen's winning football games right now, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're Ron Rivera, you don't give a shit who's back there caught in the huddle. You don't care who's saying the cadence. You just care who puts the ball where it needs to be so you can win the football game. You keep your job. And Cam Newton, what he has is a deteriorative issue in his shoulder, and he has the foot problem. So the Panthers,
do you feel like he'd be back by now if they'd have lost 2 games in a row?
I don't know.
It's such a weird thing because there was never a point where they're like, he's more injured than what he was last week.
See, how many times has a star player been out this long and we have not really heard anything about how it's going?
Never.
Like, he's a quarterback
Ever.
too. Like, he's a star quarterback. This is Cam Newton. He's a big deal.
Dude, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is he's the best college player of all time. He's one of the best, some of the best season from a quarterback we've ever seen. Like, this is a big deal. Dude, and he just got hurt. No one, it's just quiet.
If you think about the most marketable players that, like, you take just Joe Schmo off the street, doesn't watch sports at all, he could probably name about 10 people in the NFL if you just showed them pictures. Cam Newton's one of those guys.
Oh,
Cam
yeah.
Newton is one of the biggest stars in the NFL, and you haven't heard a single peep. Nobody's even discussed it, whether or not Cam Newton's going to be back or what's going on with Cam Newton. How long is he going to be out? Nobody knows. And really, I think if you looked at the injury report, like, they're just going to say, he's just out with a shoulder and foot problem, like, just compounding injuries over time. Typical running back in the NFL. Like, very, very weird. And I think Kyle Allen has officially put himself in a seat that even if he, let's say over the next 2 games, he averages 150 yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and they win those games, he's going to stay the quarterback.
Yeah.
He's going to stay the quarterback just because they're winning games and the mojo's different.
Yeah, right now they're 4-2, second in the division, 1 game behind the Saints. They just got to see where this goes.
Yes.
Because it's not like the 1-4, 1-6 where the record would be right now. Like, the winning records, winning games, they're winning the division. They're in the playoffs right now. They had a wild card spot. Since the end of today, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They got to let this roll.
Yeah, you have to let this ride out.
But I mentioned the big point here. Cam Newton's not hurt. You know that time Cam Newton rolled his car over and didn't get a scratch on him?
That's true.
Cam Newton's fine.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. Dude, we're talking about Superman here, dude.
Like,
When did Cam
his
Newton...
car rolled over off the interstate. He did not have a scratch on him. He practiced that day.
He did.
He went to practice.
Dude, I'm going to look this up real quick on Cam Newton. How many games had he missed prior to this season? Because I think he had the one last
This
year.
season and last season, he's been hurt.
No, well, last season they only sat him out for like the 2 games
Yeah,
at the
he
end because
played-
it was too far gone.
Yeah.
So his first, excluding last year, the last 2 games, just because he was hurt, he had played every single game except for one. One.
Uh-huh.
Is he actually? I agree with you.
I don't know, man.
I didn't
He
think about that.
might be okay. He might just try to be, it might be one of those things where both parties decide doors closed. It's time to move on. Cam's saying, you know what? Let me get healthy and then trade me in the offseason. I only have a $2.3 million cap hit next year for whoever wants me.
Dude, that's crazy. I didn't even realize this. Like, the guy didn't miss games. Ever. And now all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, he's hurt, but we're not going to tell you anything about the injury.
You know what's going to happen? The Patriots are going to trade for Cam Newton this offseason Tom Brady retires. And they're going
I
to
hope not. Because you know Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels make him look like the best passer in
Really,
NFL.
they're again. It's only a $2.3 million cap hit next year. That's like free.
That is basically free. Wow.
The contract are so front loaded.
Wow. I'm almost to the point where I'm like at a loss of words for what's going on with the Panthers. But hey, Panthers winning games, that's all that matters. So, wait and see. Last little bit here of the Week 6 storylines. The 49ers beat the Rams like a legitimate drum. And they hold Jared Goff to 78 passing yards. I have to ask it. We were laughing a few weeks ago. Are the 49ers a legitimate threat to the NFC crown?
I mean, okay, so they have to be. They're the best defense in football. They're allowing like 150-something passing yards per game. And they have the top 5 running offense in football. If you can do those 2 things, which allow you to, 1, control the clock, and B, not let your opponent move the football, you're going to be able to win games. Okay, you go win the field position battle, win the time position battle, and you go win the points battle. And you win all 3 of those things, you win the game 1,000% of the time.
No, that is absolutely true. But this is one of the weirdest teams I've ever seen. So they played Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Mason Rudolph, Baker Mayfield, and now Jared Goff, which I told you earlier my thoughts, or no, it was earlier in the word association. Jared Goff has been very, very, not even average. Jared Goff has been terrible in the last 15 games of his NFL career. When have they played a good quarterback?
Oh, I mean, they haven't really, but
they have to be. You have to say that they're a legitimate threat because they're undefeated.
yeah.
But like, as far as teams that have went undefeated this long, I don't think I've like bought into less of a team.
It doesn't seem like they're really in the feed, does it?
No.
It seems like they're in the preseason still.
What on their offense are you scared of? If you're a defense,
Oh, evidently Matt Breida and that Mostert guy just gonna run all over you.
dude, like these are no-name people that they're just like rolling out there. They have a cycle of like 15 running backs that they're just rolling out there week after week. You know what it reminds me of? Whenever Bill Belichick was winning games early with Tom Brady.
Yeah, when he got there, what he had to do.
They just went out there and they won games and they just completely shut you down on offense. And then on their own offense, they just ran the ball over and over and over. Whenever they needed a big play, guess who it came from? Tight end.
Yep. And then there were those weird years where they got Corey Dillon. Yeah, this is 1 year. It's an odd time.
Dude, I really this is what this team reminds me of. And whenever you thought about those Patriots teams, you're like, yeah, we're really not scared of much that they have, but for some weird reason, they just continually beat everybody by 20 points.
Yep.
I have to say that they're a contender. I have to.
You have to. I mean, yeah. One of the best defenses in football, but
I just don't know how.
Next week they play the Redskins, then they play the Cardinals, then they play the Seahawks.
Okay, so we're gonna see them
week
play the
9,
Seahawks when they're undefeated.
Yeah.
We're going to roll into Week 9 with an undefeated 49ers team that's probably going to get beat by a last-second Russell Wilson touchdown.
Yeah, probably.
Wow. All right. So, wait and see. It is time to play darts. So darts is it is basically the staple of the show. The way that this will work is we will each throw a dart at a dartboard, and each number on the dartboard will represent something different. This week, wait and see, what do we have?
We are bringing back Eat or Delete with a little Halloween candy edition.
All right, 'tis the season. We will throw a dart at the dartboard. It'll land on a number. Each number will be a candy, and we will discuss whether or not we will eat or delete this candy. Wait and see, your throw. And we have an 11.
11 is Skittles. Ooh, Skittles.
Skittles.
Okay, yeah, I really like Skittles.
I love Skittles.
I'm not as big into the chocolate candy, but if it's a fruit candy, I'm all about it. So yeah, we eat the Skittles. What always bothered me though about the Halloween candy Skittles, I don't like the small packages. Could get like 5 Skittles.
Dude, I love the small packages. You just open them up and you eat the whole thing, and like you put them all in your mouth and you just like chew them up and continually chew on them like they're a piece of gum, and then they just like immediately dissipate into sugar and you eat it. You've never done that? You're giving me a weird face.
I mean, you're.
Whenever I get a full pack of Skittles,
you like advanced eating techniques over here.
Yeah, I always have advanced eating techniques. So whenever you eat a full bag of Skittles, I only get like 4 mouthfuls.
Okay, I mean,
and you just keep chewing on them, and you chew on them, and that bag will last you a while. But yeah, dude, the small ones are perfect for just a little taste of something. Toss them in your mouth, chew them all up, they'll disappear, and you'll be a happy camper.
See, my thing is like I just small bag, I always just want more. That's with the full bag, but sometimes you only get you get 1 bag of Skittles and make maybe 1/2 of a mini Trix bar. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Like you look at me here with the Skittles. Now I got the Twix, totally contrasting flavors.
Yeah, yeah, this is a definite eat.
Eat Skittles.
All right, now my throw, and we have a 4.
A 4 is Snickers.
Snickers, ooh,
it's a heavy candy bar.
It is a very heavy candy bar. As far as like, the Mount Rushmores of candy bars, like this would have to be on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's an instant classic, and it's always a go-to. Snickers. I don't think it's as good as what they market it to be. As far as oh, you're hungry, eat a Snickers, and like basically you have Gilbert Godfrey turn into like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to satisfy you that much. But as far as just like a good, don't they have nougat?
They do nougat.
I think they're
nougat.
like the staple of nougat. I don't know what that is, but I know it's delicious. And you mix in some peanuts and some caramel and some chocolate. You really can't go wrong with this. So I'm going to say a definite eat.
Yeah, no shit. What is nougat?
Nobody knows.
They just make it up.
I think it's
like doing to make a food, and then we'll put something in it. We'll call it house and slaughter, and it'll be delicious. Someone tell me what it is.
We just won't tell any. It's like Big Mac sauce.
It's
you
a Big
don't
Mac
know what it
sauce.
is, but it has a very distinct flavor, and if you ever have it again, you'll know exactly what it is. I'm gonna look up what nougat is.
But no, I love Snicker bars. In the vending machine at work, Snicker bars are always the first one to be gone. Mainly because basically they get filled up one day, and then after lunch people go in there and buy Snicker bars because it's the best candy bar there is. So I'm definitely eating Snickers bars. Drake, do you have any confirmation on what nougat is?
So nougat, the only thing I can find on it is that it's something. It's like an open source package manager for Microsoft. And
I don't think that's what we're looking for.
I don't think that's what it is. Nougat candy. Let's see if a more distinct search will. Nougat. I was spelling it wrong. So,
spelling is just every time.
Well, it's actually spelled Nougat.
Oh.
It's a family of confections made with sugar or honey, roasted nuts, whipped egg whites, and sometimes chopped candied fruit. I would never have guessed that egg whites was a part of nougat.
Me either.
I don't know. I don't care. I just know it's delicious. Wait and see. Definite eat?
Definite eat.
Alright. Next, your throw. And we have an 18.
An 18 is a Crunch bar.
Ooh, Crunch bar. What do you think?
It's good. It is good.
But are you excited about a Crunch bar?
No, I don't care about Crunch bar. If you get a Crunch bar, you buy it, and crunch all in your mouth. I'm not sure what the crunchy stuff is, but like it doesn't do anything extra for me. Like Snickers, it has caramel, peanuts, egg whites. Now we know, nougat, sugar, honey, all that good stuff. Snicker bar, you get chocolate and the little crackly stuff. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. Like, if I get Crunch bar, yeah, I'll eat it. I'm gonna throw it away, like, spit on it or anything like that. But I'm not excited about getting a Crunch candy bar ever.
You know what happens? So whenever you get your sack of candy, you bring it home, and you're kind of munching on it over like the next couple weeks or so. You get to a point where you've eaten all your Snickers, you've eaten all your Skittles, you've eaten all these awesome candies. And, you know, there's different times call for different things. So sometimes you might want, you know, a fruity candy. Sometimes you might want a chocolatey candy. And then you get to the point where at the end of your bag, whenever there's not much left in it, you're deciding between, do I want to go with a fruity candy like Dots, or do I want to go with a chocolatey candy like Crunch Bar?
Yeah.
And, you know, you would definitely trade them for something else, but you'll eat them because they are candy. I'm going to have to go with a delete on the Crunch Bar. Now, it is good. I won't throw it away if somebody hands one to me, but I just don't think that, you know, you think about an elite candy in your Halloween sack, definitely not it, so delete.
Definitely not.
All right, last throw. And we have a 1.
A 1. Starburst.
Ooh, Strawburst. You ever do Star Power?
Every time.
Every time?
Not every time, but if I get the... always I can buy the pink and red ones at least.
So guys, if you don't know what Star Power is whenever you take different pieces of your Starburst, you open them all up, you take a yellow, red, pink, every single one that they have in the pack, you take a different flavor from each, you put them all on top of each other, and you put them in your mouth just like you do with all the Skittles, and you just chomp away. And, you know, you're going to be chewing on this thing a lot longer than what you're going to be chewing on any of your Skittles.
Yeah.
But it makes the taste of all the Starburst come together in one flavor, which creates the Star Power. And guys, your candy eating experience will never be the same. And for that, I have to say, it is a definite eat.
No, I love Starburst. The only downfall of Starburst, they come in the wrappers. And the only downfall of the Star, what do they call Starburst? What do you call it? Star Power?
Star Power.
You have to unwrap all the candies and eat them.
Yes.
And then only pay for your buck. The best thing ever invented was the unwrapped mini Starburst. It's a bag.
How do they keep them from sticking on each other?
I don't know, but I never have to skip before either. Granted, I also only get it at the movie theaters, so it's in a cool environment. But I guarantee you, that thing in your car on a hot day for more than 5 minutes, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You're gonna have just a giant. You're gonna have soup. Starburst soup that you're gonna have then.
Ooh, that might be good though.
And you put it in the freezer, that'd be hard. Ooh,
It would be the ultimate Star Power. That'd be good.
Star Power. If you make a Mario, like you have like the normal star. I think it's the one big shiny star shaped invincible for like
Yes.
a minute.
That's how you are whenever you eat Starburst soup.
Starburst soup.
Star Power soup. Yeah, dude, have you ever wondered, like, what exactly is Laffy Taffy and Starburst? Like, that shit can't be good for you.
Oh, it's 100% sugar. Like,
But how do they make it into wax or rubber or whatever? I mean, it's...
So yeah, I can't know this. I think actually, it's something involved. They heat it and then they have this machine. You know how the machine like make dough and stuff?
Yeah.
They have dough, but instead of like one spinning thing, it's like 4 or 5, and it goes like
Basically, hand tosses it.
Well, what's that thing in basketball they do where you pass the ball with 3 guys?
Three-man weave.
It's like one of those, and it stretches it out in the taffy.
Dude, how sweet would it be if, like, Greg Popovich brought his team over to, like, the state fair and had them watch the taffy machine, and he's like, guys, this is how you execute a perfect 3-man weave.
See, if I'm in the court, I think there's 5 prongs. You watch that. We need to be dancing on the court, but never lose a game.
You'll never lose a game, man. If it can make taffy, you can win NBA games. So definite eat.
Definitely eat. Lock it down.
Definite eat. So we are eating Snickers.
Yep.
We are eating Skittles.
Yep.
And we're eating Starburst.
Yep.
And we're tossing out the Crunch Bar.
Crunch bars.
right.
Definitely on the bottom of the Halloween candy list.
Definitely on the bottom. So, latency, let's get to a little bit of Week 7 college football games. So, this week, maybe the biggest upset of the year, we had South Carolina beating Georgia 20-17. Does this kill the SEC getting a shot for 2 teams to get into the playoff?
It does if Georgia is one of the 2 teams. And I mean that is... So Alabama and LSU are going to it now. They're going to play each other. You would think the loser of that game wouldn't, if anything the committee's eyes fall out of the top 4, because the committee loves the SEC more than we love oxygen in our lungs. Georgia is 10th. If Alabama beats LSU and Georgia won the table and beats Alabama, you might be able to put Alabama and Georgia both in there. But if LSU beats Alabama, and Georgia runs the table and beats LSU, Georgia could be in, but I don't think LSU will stay in there at the same time.
Yeah, you look at Georgia.
And then you get in a weird scenario where Alabama not playing that last game, kind of sitting there on the edge, like number 5 in the country, like, are they bump up because they didn't play a game again?
Yeah, I think you're almost in a weird spot that, like, if LSU were to beat Alabama, I could really see the committee just being like, oh, yeah, Alabama, they didn't lose in the conference championship. They lost earlier. And this Georgia team did beat LSU, so we have to put them in. And you know what? Alabama's been there, so we'll go ahead and throw Alabama in. Like, it would be like the weirdest of scenarios. And other than Georgia running the table, like, you know, they do have the quality win against Notre Dame, which if Notre Dame continues to run the table and look good doing so, I know they didn't look that great last week, but if they do run the table, and then Georgia ultimately runs the table and ends up beating, you know, Florida, Auburn, and then beats an LSU or Alabama, then you almost have to put them in back in that situation. But I don't know that we're at the point where 2 teams could get in. I think the only way that you could get 2 teams in would be if Georgia would have just absolutely ran the table against everybody, and you had an Alabama or an LSU with a big win against either Alabama or LSU. I think this is dead. I think it's dead. I think the only way you're going to get 2 in is the loser of the LSU-Alabama game, and they just don't lose anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be that, or either the team who wins that game basically dominates everybody starting this weekend, including that game, goes all the way to the SEC Championship game in Atlanta, and loses and nail by it to Georgia. And Georgia's happy to be number 5 at the time. So it'd be, I don't know, unlikely. But the SEC and the committee loves the SEC, so I'm not taking on the table just yet.
Could you imagine sitting there at the committee and just being like, yep, we are completely okay with putting a team who lost to South Carolina
no big deal.
In the Final Four?
No big deal.
Be absolutely miserable. So you want to hear a little stat that I ended up finding on our man Jake Fromm?
Let's hear it. He's not got any better than a freshman?
He is not. He is the same guy. Jake Fromm, when he has to throw 30 or more passes in a football game, do you know what his record is?
Like, he probably lost 2 games.
0-5.
Okay, he's like, what, 6 games in his career?
Yeah, so whenever he has to throw the ball 30 or more times, they lose. This is a weird thing because, you know, Georgia was only trailing by 7 at halftime, and you had a guy named DeAndre Swift who was rushing for 4.9 yards per carry. You just don't hand him the ball anymore, and you let Jake Fromm throw 51 passes.
He threw 51 passes?
He threw 51 passes. They were trailing by 7 points going into halftime. South Carolina did not score again, and they still found a way to lose this game. Hand the ball off. Run it every play.
51 passes from Jake Fromm. That's just so many.
Dude, I don't know if they could beat like a good... It would have to be a quality team. I don't know if they could beat any top 25 teams throwing from 51 times.
Yeah, Georgia's biggest issue, and like we knew the issue for like 2 or 3 years now, was they're one-dimensional. Jake Fromm's a good college quarterback. He'll be drafted probably pretty high in NFL draft.
He'll be drafted first round.
Good potential.
Yeah.
He's good, but like they win the football, and they can't leave that element too much. And like the coaching staff at Georgia now has to take a step back and look like, okay, we know we can't do that, so if we can't run the ball with these 2 guys, we got to figure out a way to manufacture offense. But that does not involve throwing Jake Fromm 51 times.
5 yards per carry is pretty good, though, right?
I mean, yeah, it's useful every time with that.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to convert. If you run it 3 straight plays, you will convert. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what they were trying to get at here. It's just absolutely abysmal, in my opinion. So, next up. Texas is officially not back. They fall to 4-2 with a loss to Oklahoma. I really don't want to waste any time talking about Texas. I know they didn't fall that far in the rankings, and Texas won't. No matter who they lose to, they are not going to fall that far in the rankings. So let's go ahead and talk about Oklahoma. Years past, we had seen them get into the college football playoff, ultimately lose because the defense is just absolutely terrible. Do you think that this team actually is showing a backbone on defense, and would you say that they are a legitimate contender for the national championship?
I mean, so yeah, the Oklahoma should run the table now. They should run the table. They're far and away the best team in the Big 12. I mean, it's not even close. The question mark will always be, well, can the defense let the offense win the games. And the first half against Texas, they showed that. They led 10-3 at halftime, but the second half a little long. They allowed 24 second half points, and that's the game we thought we were going to see for the entirety of the game. It didn't get done in the first half. So basically, yes, I think this team is a contender for championship. I think they will be in the playoff, but once they face, Alabama, Clemson, whoever, will the defense stand up then?
Yeah, this team it's different. The defense, dude, last year and the year prior, the defense was just absolutely atrocious. It would be a 30 to 35 game at halftime, and then the scoring just wouldn't stop. And this team actually has, as far as, elite playmakers on the outside, I think CeeDee Lamb's the best wide receiver that's walked through there in probably the last 10 years.
He's a stud.
Absolute stud, and I think he punched his ticket to be a first-round potential this year. He has three games, over 140 yards. He already has 10 touchdowns this season. He's on pace for 20. So the offensive side of the ball is going to take care of itself. They just need a defense that can stand up and make a few plays to win a game. That's exactly what they did against Texas. They sacked Ellinger, I think it was 6 times the last time I had heard. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were just absolutely getting after him. They were tearing him up. And if you look at what this defense did last year, Oklahoma's defense allowed 400 yards 9 times last year. 400 yards 9 times last year. They gave up 500 yards 5 times to opposing offenses. This year, they've only given up 400 yards 1 time, and it was against Houston week 1, and Houston only ended up with 408. So, I know we're talking about 400 yards of offense because that's a ton, but, I mean, they're serviceable. Yeah. They're finally serviceable. Like before, they had the defense of a team that was probably
high school JV team.
Yes, the defense was absolutely abysmal. The defense was just you cannot put into words just how bad the defense was over the last 2 years. Now they're showing a little bit of a backbone. They can at least put hits on quarterbacks, and they can hold you under 400 yards. That's the recipe for success to win games as if you're Oklahoma. A lot of teams can't do that kind of thing, but this offense can still win games with 400 yards. As long as they don't start giving up the 500-yard games, I think this team is going to be just fine. So, Coach O might be Coach of the Year. I mean, the guy has been absolutely insane since he's been at LSU. I saw a stat the other day as far as, he's 3rd in the NCAA since he walked onto campus. And in the first year, they were pretty bad. They lost to Troy. Here he has. I think he's 3rd in the NCAA and top 25 wins. They go out this weekend. They're firing on all cylinders. They beat Florida this last week by 2 touchdowns. Do we think that this LSU team finally has the horsepower to beat Alabama?
Yeah. So this is this is a weird LSU team.
So weird.
When was the last time you said that you were having faith in the offense to score or the defense to stop anybody?
Never.
Ever.
Never.
So this Alabama LSU game here in a month or so is going to be a really, really weird game. Both teams like that right now. You can score in Alabama. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Dude,
Alabama's offense.
Texas A&M hung 28 up on them this weekend?
Something like that.
And last week I gave you their resume. They were giving up 19 points to Power 5 teams, which is very unlike Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we know that LSU can not win, so he's playing a shootout, win a shootout. We've seen that already this year. So, yeah, I get a chance to beat Alabama. It's just, can the defense get the stops when they need it? Because, like you said about all season long, those Ferraris out there in Alabama are the best high school we've ever seen.
Yes.
And I don't know how good DBU is, but they will pick it up.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to pick it up. I think offensively, they're going to be able to match everything Alabama throws at them. And I think I actually give them the edge on the offensive side of the ball just because of the play of Joe Burrow. You look at this guy, a lot of people were saying that he was going to struggle this week. Playing a Florida team who has, arguably the best defensive line in the country as far as getting to the quarterback. And Joe Burrow goes out there, 87% completion percentage. Whew. The highest that they had allowed this year, that Florida defense, was 65%. And last week they played against Bo Nix, who, I know he's not an elite talent yet, but he still has put in a ton of good games. That was the first game Auburn had lost all year. They held Bo Nix to 40% completion percentage. 40. And Joe Burrow goes out there and doubles it and then adds some to it. The guy is firing on all cylinders, and you look at the wide receiver core, top to bottom, they had 3 guys go for 100 yards against Texas. I know Texas isn't a good defense, but still, that's impressive. I really like what LSU's doing this year. I cannot be more excited for that Alabama LSU game, and I honestly, as of now, think that LSU is going to win that game. I feel so weird saying it, but I think that they could possibly beat Alabama in a shootout, and I cannot be more excited for that game. So, let's go ahead and get to our Week 8 college football preview. Late and see, we have Oregon going to Washington. 12 versus 25 matchup. Who do you like to win this game?
Pick Oregon win this game. I think we went pretty handily. Big indicator for that is the spread of this game is -3 for Oregon on the road. So in college football, home field advantage. NFL is worth 3 in college football is probably worth close to 5 or 6. Oregon's be a heavier favorite than this. I think Oregon will win this game going away.
Yeah, I think Oregon does win this game too. I just want to see Herbert show up against a legitimately good defense like Washington. If he goes out there and throws the ball over the field, has a good game, they are going to, Herbert's draft stock, he could plant himself as number 1 this weekend if he has a good game. But as far as Oregon goes, they're going to be able to match everything Washington does defensively. And it's kind of funny to think about where we're finally in a spot where Oregon is led by their defense and LSU is led by their offense. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would have ever said that in my lifetime. And I think that Oregon, they will put up just enough points to beat this Washington team. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I give the edge to the Oregon Ducks. Next up, we have Arizona State at Utah. Arizona State is ranked 17th. Utah is ranked 13th. Who do you like?
I'm going with Utah. Herm Edwards for the entire working career so far of a year and a half at ASU has been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which is good. It's progress. But they've had a lot of step forwards in a row right now. They're going on the road at a very tough Utah team. Time to take a little step back.
Yeah, I do think that Utah will win this game, and I think it's just going to be due to the inexperience at quarterback with Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels is playing like a man on fire right now. He looks and acts the part of a guy who is a top 2 recruit at the quarterback position coming out. He is a true freshman, though. This Utah team can get after the quarterback, and they can run the ball well. So I do have to give the edge to Utah in this one. Next up, we have number 16 Michigan at number 7 Penn State. This is kind of interesting to say that Penn State is now ranked number 7, getting a top 20 team coming to Happy Valley. It's so weird calling it Happy Valley compared to Death Valley at LSU. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Penn State. Michigan, they look a whole lot better since they got actually embedded by Wisconsin. But they said, Penn State, this is a game. They said it's technical overall right now in the country. Top 20 opponent. This is a game Penn State needs to win. They have to win this game. They got to have that big win of the resume before they face Ohio State. We go with Penn State.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with this. I think you have to lock Penn State in. This is a defense that can get after you and get after you in a hurry. Last week, whenever we talked about the resumes, this is a team that's top 20 in both offense and defense, and they can stop you and they can score. So you have to like Penn State in this situation, especially whenever we don't know what Michigan team's going to show up. And really, we haven't had a Michigan team show up and play great football for 4 quarters. And that's all we've seen from Penn State, so I'm going to have to say Penn State wins this game. So wait and see. Lock bet of the week. What do you like?
I'm going to go with South Carolina plus 5.5 at home against Florida.
That spread is so fishy.
It's the second bet for Florida, I feel. But look at it this way. Florida last week went on the road to a very hostile environment at Death Valley, LSU, lost the game by 14 points. That game can take a lot out of these players. Last week, South Carolina played at home against Georgia and beat them. Now this week, Florida will fly bus out of the college team to get to their game.
Oh, fly first class, baby. This is college football. There's not enough money for the players.
They will fly to Columbia, South Carolina, a place that is going to be freaking rocking after they just beat number 13 country last week.
Yes.
No Dyke this week. No hostile environment. South Carolina might not win this game, but I think they can get this game damn close.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. My lock bet of the week is actually going to be Wisconsin against Illinois. Wisconsin is only a 31.5-point favorite, and this team's just blowing everybody out. Last week, they pitched another shutout against Michigan State. Newsflash. Illinois is not Michigan State. I don't care if Michigan State's having a down year. They still have quality players from top to bottom on the depth chart. They have a plus head coach at the helm who can usually find ways to keep those games close. Wisconsin, if you look at the resume, might be the best team in the country. 6 games, 4 shutouts. 4 shutouts. I will not be surprised if Illinois does not put a single point on the board this week. I know what I'm going to get out of Wisconsin. They're going to put up 40 points. You have to love Wisconsin in this spot. Next up, top 25 team on upset alert. Leighton C. Who is it?
They're not really a huge, great picnic for an upset. But I'm going to give you Oklahoma State over Baylor. Baylor's a good team. Oklahoma State playing at home. Oklahoma State, a team that just can't get enough wins in a row to really come into the rankings enough. They're a good team. They score a lot of points. They just can't get the wins to string together. They are 3.5-point favorites right now. Go at home. I think they win that game.
I'm actually going to go SMU against Temple. So SMU is 19th right now in the country. They're playing Temple, and it is going to be a home game for SMU. I do like any college football team that gets to play at home, but SMU survived a huge scare just 2 weeks ago against Tulane. Temple is a team that you cannot make any mistakes against because they are just solid. They're solid across the board. They can, they're not going to put up a ton of points. They're not going to allow a ton of points. Therefore, I think they're going to be able to keep this game just in arm's reach to where at the end of the game they will have a chance to win it. And I think it's kind of weird that the spread's only 7.5, especially it being a home game for SMU. Next up. Game that has you looking at the most. Game with the most interest.
I'm going to go Kansas at Texas. Don't know why, Drake. I have a funny feeling that Les Miles is going to pull something out of his hat here on the road at Texas to keep this game especially close. That loss for Texas had to be, they had to kill this place a little bit. I don't know how hard they'll come out and play this next week against a much inferior Kansas team, but I feel like Les Miles might just have something in a bag of tricks to keep this game close.
Yeah, dude, he always has a bag of tricks. Like, that was the thing with Les Miles. Like, the term bag of tricks was always for Les Miles, and I absolutely agree with you, because now we're looking at a Texas team. This is the game that, as far as games we've not talked about, it's the most eye-opening. Do you know what the spread is for that game by chance?
I think I saw it was in the 20s.
Is in the 20s? Okay.
I can try to find it.
Because now we're looking
22.
We're looking at a Texas team, which Kansas 31 once as a 20-point underdog this year. They won that game by 20 points against Boston College. And Les Miles figures out a way to keep games like this close. And last year, Kansas team, without Les Miles, lost this game by a touchdown. And now we're looking at a Texas team who hasn't been able to stop absolutely anybody. Now knowing that their hopes for a college football playoff bid are completely out the door. And it's going to be weird to see how they respond. I do think that that's going to be a game that Kansas can keep close. And if Les Miles can score, if he can get 2 touchdowns that he wasn't supposed to get by, either some sort of fake or maybe just like any kind of trick play, which Les Miles is known for doing. I feel like he has a whole whiteboard this week drawn up of trick plays that he's going to just pull out of his ass. And I think this is going to be a very, very weird game, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, Leighton C. So, it is time. Each week we watch a lot of sports television, listen to a lot of sports radio, and we listen to a lot of bad takes. What is your shittiest take of the week?
My shittiest take of the week comes from Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on First Things First. I think the name of the show today, First Things First.
Yes.
Today,
First Things First. It is.
That's it. Yeah.
That is it. I was thinking, so they just completely ripped off First Take.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's called First Fake.
First Fake.
First Fake. Yeah, no. They ripped it off hard, but no. So they
never
just
put those two things together.
Yeah, so it wasn't totally one quote. It was basically the entire segment. It was talking about the Ravens game, the Bengals yesterday, and they were just gawking over how good Lamar Jackson did, just tearing apart that Cincinnati Bengals defense on the ground, through the air. How none of us would be surprised at that. And it's like, people, come on. Like, look at the first 2 weeks of this season. You played the Dolphins, and you played Another team he played
They
was
played the Dolphins, and then they played the Cardinals.
The Cardinals,
and
yeah.
they won that Cardinals game by 6 points, where they kicked the field goal 3 times within the 7-yard line.
Yeah, and he told those teams up. But since then, he's been
Mediocre.
very, very mediocre, just barely above average even. And then he played Cincinnati Bengals team, who is terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
A horrible team. But Drake, you know what the Ravens did the second half of the game? They scored 2 field goals.
That's it?
That was the point of the game. 2 field goal attempts. Because John Harbaugh went in there and said, you know what, we're going to shut this down. That's it. Lamar Jackson did good first half. We don't need to mess up anymore. We're going to shut it down. In the game as fast as we possibly can. It's like, yeah, Lamar Jackson, he good yesterday. But let's see him do it against a real decent team. Let's see him do it against a real team.
Yeah, he was good yesterday because he ran the ball 19 times.
Yeah.
19 times. That's not sustainable. We just talked about Cam Newton just 20
Break it
minutes
down.
ago.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. I don't think you can deem a quarterback like an elite or a very good quarterback if they're running the ball 19 times.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
Yeah, once they see it going forward, they face the Steelers again, face the Rams, face the 49ers, face the Bills, Packers. Real defense is coming down the board in games that need to win. If he does it then, Shannon Sharp, see about him, apologize to you. But right now, I'm not ready to proclaim him I don't know what I want to call it even.
Dude, I just talked about last week how since week 2, his passer rating was worse than what it was last year. Worse.
We keep forgetting that they lost by 15 to the Browns at home.
And the Browns are a bad football
And
team.
the offense only scored 3 touchdowns.
And it took Justin Tucker bailing him out multiple times against the Steelers. And then it took Juju Smith-Schuster fumbling the football. And Justin Tucker, yet again, what did he do? Bailed him out.
Yep.
And in that drive against the Steelers, whenever they scored a touchdown, I'm pretty sure he lost him yards. Like, he made the wrong read on a read option, and then he just took off running, scrambling around, lost him yards again, and they ended up booting the field goal.
Yep. As a matter of
I
fact,
don't know at this point how people can still be on the Lamar Jackson is developed from last year train.
like he does throw the ball better, but it's
Oh,
only
yes,
threw with 206. He threw 236 yards yesterday with 21 for 33.
That's not
So
good.
he just over 50%.
That's not good.
Yesterday, after the first quarter, Drake, how many points they scored?
I mean,
9.
9
They won by 6 at home
against the
Bengals.
Against the Bengals.
The 0-6 Bengals.
I just don't understand this. I don't know where people are trying to go with that. My shittiest take of the week, it's going to go out to the college football ranking system. So right now, we had some teams lose that really haven't lost, and we had some teams win that shouldn't have won. And so this last week, Notre Dame goes out there against USC, and they beat USC by a whopping 3 points. Okay, they were able to keep their spot in the rankings. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down, though, to Auburn and Oregon. So, obviously, Auburn lost to Florida, and Oregon has not lost since week 1. Where they sit in the rankings, Auburn is number 11, Oregon is number 12. Would you wonder why Auburn is 11 and Oregon is 12?
Yeah.
They won. They beat
Yeah.
Oregon. So Auburn beats Oregon, right? So they're right next to each other. You just common courtesy because they have the
They get a
head-to-head
little
win.
bump. Yep.
They get the little bump.
Yep.
Auburn, yes, I agree with that. 11, Oregon, 12. Now we look further on up the rankings. To number 8, the team that just beat USC by a whopping 3 points, Notre Dame. And do you know who is below Notre Dame, sitting there at 10? Legitimately right next door, 8 to 10. Georgia. The same team that beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's loss against Georgia doesn't look any worse now that they lost to South Carolina, but all of a sudden Georgia looks that much worse than Notre Dame. I feel like if you look at teams that are, trending positive or negatively, I think a 3-win or a 3-point win against USC would trend you in the opposite direction, not propel you above a team that you had beaten or you had lost to prior in the season. Now, if USC would have went out there against a, top 25 opponent, won that game, Georgia lost this week, I still don't know if you could have an argument for it unless that team was ranked above Georgia going into this week. But to put Notre Dame 2 spots ahead of Georgia whenever Georgia had already beat them this season is just absolutely laughable.
Yeah.
And I think it's just par for the course, though, for what we've been used to seeing from the college football ranking system. All right, so let's go ahead and transition to some MLB playoff chatter. The Nationals have leaned on absolute dominant pitching and stole 2 games in St. Louis. Nationals now lead 2-0 in the series. Cardinals still do not have a hit in the first 5 innings of these games. Do you think you can put a fork in this Cardinal season?
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, it's baseball, so weird thing happen in baseball. Like a team can get hot, win 8 games in a row. But is it postseason now? Will that happen for them? Probably not. I mean, their first pitch right now is in about half an hour. They got Dick Flatter on the mound going against Strasburg or Copeland tonight.
I believe it will be Strasburg.
It should be Strasburg at least.
Good luck.
So let's pitch it right there, and if the Cardinals win tonight,
or is it? I think it might be Corbin.
Well,
actually.
whoever Flatter you're going against, Cardinals has to win tonight. They can't go down 3-0.
And you can't lose a Flaherty start.
None of that sucks. They only have David Ortiz. Ryan Molina is not David Ortiz, despite what he might be on Twitter. It's not going to work out for him. And even if the Cardinals do win 2 out of these 3, they still have to win 2 out of the next 3. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, I do think that they are done. It's very hard to come back from an 0-2 slide, especially whenever you are going to be on the road for 3 games.
3 games in a row.
I just don't see it happening. And at worst, you're going to end up having Strasburg come back to pitch 1 game, so you can almost guarantee that's going. Or Scherzer come back to pitch 1 game, so that's going to be almost a guaranteed win for the Nationals. I just think that there's really nowhere that the Cardinals can go from here. Like, they have to hit. They haven't hit all series. I don't think things are just going to change overnight. They can play that montage of Shield giving his pump-up speech after the game 100 times, and it's not going to make this team hit the ball any better. Whenever the Cardinals have to turn it over to the bullpen in these close games, you have to give the notch to the Nationals' bats. I mean, they're going to tear them up every time in close games. I just think that the Nationals are going to end up walking away with this thing. Over/under 1.5 games that the Cardinals win in this series.
Under.
I think it's under.
I think they win tonight or tomorrow, that'd be it. I think they lose 3-1.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So next up, we have the Astros and the Yankees. The series is now tied 1-1. The great play by Correa in the field to save a run late in the game. And then turns around, hits a home run in the 10th inning to walk it off. 11th inning. The guy has absolutely been. Was it the 10th? He hit one in the 10th inning last year, then, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the guy who basically looked absolutely terrible all season comes through for the Astros. Like, we forgot they still have Carlos Correa on top of Bregman, on top of Altuve, on top of everybody else they have. Where do you think this series is going to go from here, other than just New York?
So it's tied 1-1 right now, and they have Garrett Cole going in Game 3 against, I believe it's going to be Luis Severino.
It doesn't matter. It's Garrett Cole, dude.
If Garrett Cole can nut up and win the first game in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, and take back home field advantage, the Astros will win this game. Or win this series.
I don't like what I'm seeing from the Astros, though.
They look bad. Like, they are not playing a baseball. They are playing bad at the wrong time. Last year, 2018, the Red Sox worst time of the season was the last month and a half or so. That was the percent of the season. Postseason came back on, we kicked it on. The Astros never really had a slump all year long. And if they're going to try to slump right now with what they've done for the first 2 weeks of the postseason, they're going to lose the Yankees.
Yeah, I think
the Yankees are really, really good.
Yes, I think the Yankees are actually going to beat them, man. Like, you look at what they did against the Rays, like, Verlander goes out there and gets shelled. You go 5 games against the Rays, back up against the wall, you end up fighting your way out of it and winning a series that you should have won heads and shoulders.
Yeah.
You should have absolutely dominated. I honestly, this is the first time I've actually questioned the Astros all year. Like, even in Game 5, I knew they were going to win.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to win. But now the same stuff that we saw in that Rays series is coming back to bite them now. Like, they're not hitting the ball well. I think they've scored 3 runs in the first 2 games. And then you look at Verlander. Verlander gets shelled against the Rays, comes back against the Yankees. I know that they were still able to win that game yesterday. But, like, Verlander was not the Verlander we've seen all year.
No, he was not. And that's going to be the next point. They have to win Game 3 in New York.
Game 3 is the... Whoever wins Game 3 wins the series.
They have to win it, because if they lose, if they go down 2-1, Henderson is going to be forced to start Zach Greinke on short rest. You're going to have to, if they win it, they can throw out the McCullers or whoever the 4 star is right now anymore and try to win game 4 and take the 3-1 lead, or lose it and go back 2-2, and then you have Greinke, Verlander, Cole, game 4, 5, 6 on regular rest.
Yeah.
But they have to, Garrett Cole has to pitch lights out tomorrow night.
Yes, and if he doesn't,
hopefully no one tells Severino what time the game is. Because that helps.
Yeah, that would help. Now, we've seen it before where Severino could be out there for an inning and a half and just absolutely go to hell, or come out there and put lights out baseball for 6 innings strong, turn it over to the bullpen, and then the game's over. So I think Game 3 is the most important game we've seen yet in this series. I think it's even more important than Game 2 at this point.
Yeah.
Because you have Garrett Cole on the mound, and you have to win when Garrett Cole's out there pitching.
Like I said, you want to get on him fast, and you say, well, no shit, you want to get on a pitcher fast.
Yeah.
But Severino is not capable of selling back into a start after that. If you get on him early, he will not be able to sell it back in. Like Verlander, Cole, Paxton, Tanaka, you get on the first inning, they can sell it back down, throw 6 innings and allow 4 runs. Good.
Yeah.
Severino implodes on himself.
Yes, like Kershaw, whenever he gave up 3 runs in the first round, he dialed it back in, settled in. I know it's even playoff Kershaw, but he settled in and was able to pitch through it. Severino's not that kind of guy. No, he and the Yankees won't let that kind of implosion happen. I think they would keep him kind of on a short leash, especially being 1-1. So let's go ahead and get to our saucy 6-pack of games. First off, we have a game that I never would have guessed would be on the Saucy 6-pack in Week 7, mainly due to the Raiders. We have the Raiders at the Packers. Packers will be on short rest. Who do you like?
I'm also going to go with the Raiders here.
The Raiders have a whole week off.
The Raiders might not win the game, but it's going to be really close because Derek Carr is not turning the ball over.
No,
they're not turning it over. They put points on the Bears last time they played them in London. Granted, it was in London, so who knows how that affected the Bears play, but still. On the season, Derek Carr, the Raiders as a whole are not turning the ball over, and they can control the time of possession and they're scoring actual points. The Raiders team might not win a ton of games this year, but they're going to be competitive in a lot of games. Kind of like the Lions.
Yeah, I'd seen a stat where Aaron Rodgers, in the first 3 possessions of the game, his passer rating is substantially higher than whenever the game kind of goes along. And we look at this Raiders team; they score a lot of points early. And the Packers have struggled to stop the run this year. And this is a Raiders team that was up 10-0 early on the Chiefs. They were up 17-0 against the Bears. So I expect more of the same with this team. The only thing is, I think the Packers will be able to, I see the Raiders coming out to a 17-7 lead, something in that range. And then it's basically going to be all on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders whether or not he's going to be able to battle them back into the game. But I think John Gruden's just going to run the ball over and over and over. And they have 2 weeks to prepare for this game where you're looking at the Packers who are going to be, coming off of a Monday night game. I think that was terrible scheduling by the scheduling committee to kind of put a team at that big of a disadvantage. Now, if the Packers were going on the road, it would even be worse. But I do think that the Raiders are going to find a way to squeak that game out. But it won't be ugly. It will be an ugly win for the Raiders. Next up, Texans at the Colts. Both teams, last time we see them play, beat the Chiefs.
They're here to tell the 2 teams. One team wants to slow it down. One team wants to throw 2 go-outs right next to each other.
This is the game that Bill O'Brien loses, right?
Oh, yeah, he's not winning this game.
No.
The Colts will win this game. It will be 27-24 or something along those lines.
20-17.
The Texans will be in it right down to the wire. They'll have 2 or 3 chances to score and they won't get it done. Colts.
This is, if there was ever a game for Bill O'Brien to sum up his career on, this would be it. You have him beating the Chiefs last week, looking like a team that, can score with anybody and throw the ball all over the field right against Patrick Mahomes, and then they come against the Colts and they'll lose. The Colts, like I said earlier in the season, we get the same Colts every single team. We get them every single week. Same exact Colts team. And this is just a typical team coming off a big win, team coming off the bye week. What's going to happen? Colts are going to win. Next up, we have the Vikings at the Lions. Wait and see. What's the pick?
I'm going to go with the Vikings. Cook Cousins might not have the huge game he had last week, but I think he'll stay consistent, stay hot. Dalvin Cook will get back going against
This is going to be a Dalvin Cook game.
Against a very, very bad Detroit Lion defense. The Lions will keep it close, that's what the Lions do, but ultimately they'll lose the game.
Like last week, remember how I said this is going to be a huge Kirk Cousins game?
Uh-huh.
You know what this week's going to be?
Dalvin Cook game.
Huge Dalvin Cook game. We're going to see Kirk Cousins throw the ball 20 times this game. That's it. And they're just going to slow it down. They're just going to run the ball all over the field. Dalvin Cook's going to eat. Every single week, we're going to get a completely new look Vikings team. I'm going to tell you that now. They're either going to come out and look very, very good running the ball, terrible passing the ball. They're going to look very, very good passing the ball, can't run anywhere. This is going to be a running game, and I think it's going to have enough success to win. Next up, we have the Ravens at the Seahawks. Leighton C., what's the pick?
Can't wait to see what Lamar Jackson does this week at Seattle.
Dude, Javian Clowney and Ziggy Ansah are going to be the guys running around the field after him. Those guys are almost as fast as Lamar Jackson.
Yep, and in life, when it comes to betting and picking teams, all we have is what we've seen before, and all I've seen this season, Lamar Jackson plays subpar against good teams, so I'm going to go with South Seahawks.
They're going to run him out of that pocket so fast, dude. It's going to be ugly.
No, better keep him in the pocket.
That's true. Yeah, they're just
better containing him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's already out of the pocket before the ball snapped. So I just...
This is being Gabe Payne to do the shuffle drills. Keep the guy in front of him.
Keep him in front of him. That'd be awesome. Throw the glove out there. That'd be perfect. Seattle guy, Seattle team. The Seahawks are going to be too much for this team, offensively and defensively. Next up, we have the Saints at the Bears. Teddy Bridgewater, have we seen him play in the cold yet?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have, but he wears 2 gloves, so I think he's going to be immune.
He might be immune to the cold. I'm going to go with the Bears this week. But coming off the bye, Saints are on the road. Saints played a tough game at Jacksonville this past week. Bears have to win this game. I think all the things together, the Bears get it done.
Yeah, I feel like right now the Saints are playing with house money, and like anything that they do with Teddy Bridgewater under center at this point is just like icing on the cake. Like they've been playing with house money since Teddy Bridgewater won that game against Seattle. And you know, I think it's kind of weird that Vegas put this spread 4 points for the Bears. I feel like that's almost too much. And it's in Chicago. I think coming off the bye week, Mitch possibly will be back. If Mitch is back, I think the Bears do win this game pretty handily. But other than that, I still think get out of here. Chase Daniel's not going to win that game. But I think the Bears will win this game. And I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for this Seattle offense, or this New Orleans offense. I don't know why I got back to Seattle. But, I think the Bears defense will just be too much for Teddy Bridgewater. Next up, we have Eagles at the Cowboys. Sunday Night Football, believe it or not.
Can't believe it.
Can't believe it. Seattle, or we have the back to Seattle, man. We have the Eagles.
You're having that Seattle game, aren't you?
I think that's a sign. I think I just need to bet Seattle this week. I feel like every single year we get one Cowboys Giants Sunday Night Football, one Eagles Cowboys game Sunday Night Football. No matter how bad those teams are, a wait and see. I think we're looking at 2 bad teams here, but what's the pick?
Cowboys.
This one's tough.
Cowboys bounce back against the Eagles secondary is not good.
No, but that means Dak Prescott has to throw against them.
Hey, it's time. Next step this week. It's time. There's no way they lose this game. Not even 3 in a row.
You know what's terrible is that we're going to be living in a world next week where Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers. No. Who played the Eagles 2 weeks ago? It was Luke Falk.
Yeah.
So Luke Falk looked absolutely terrible against this Eagles secondary. Made everybody think that the Eagles had a good secondary. We knew they didn't have a good secondary. Then Kirk Cousins goes out there and proves the point right, that this secondary is absolutely terrible. But the Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, won a playoff game last year, so we're still setting the mindset that this defense is just absolutely lights out. Dak Prescott's going to go out there and throw the ball over the field. Dak Prescott's going to look like a future Hall of Famer against this defense, because that's what this defense does to competent quarterbacks.
That's what Dak is.
And we're going to hear all next week, Dak is who we thought he was. Yep. Dak threw the ball for 330 yards. Everybody throws the ball for 330 yards against this defense except for Luke Falk. So I think the Cowboys are going to win that game.
The 2 teams this year that people are going to go back and forth on every week could be the Browns and the Cowboys. Every week.
And they're going to continue to bury the Vikings no matter what happens. And we're going to be talking about how great the Cowboys are, how great the Browns still are, and then how bad they are. So, Leighton C., it is time to put our producer in the spotlight. Each week you go out and you watch a different movie for us. Leighton C., what movie did you have for us today?
Last week I got a movie that used to never take your kids to see. To this one, I'm going to take your kids to see, and it's the Addams Family.
You watched that?
Yeah.
It looked pretty good.
Did you watch the Addams Family growing up?
Oh, dude, come on.
Did you watch the black and white one or like the
black and white one?
Me too. Yep. See, I
grew up on that.
I was never a fan of the color movies. I can never get into them because.
No, dude. Once you see it in black and white, like that's what I want.
Yep.
I'm kind of like one of those old school football guys who's like, you gotta run the damn ball, and like I know that the colored version of the movie should be better because it's like obviously we're developing. But once you see it in black and white, like that is what the image is in my head forever.
And then, yeah, me too. Like growing up, the TV station called TV Land on this network channel 107.
Oh yeah,
it was Gilligan's Island, Addams Family, Brady Bunch, something else. But that's all I watched.
Oh, you're forgetting the Andy Griffith Show.
Andy Griffith Show, yes, of course. I can't forget the Andy Griffith Show.
Yep.
But the Addams Family, So yeah, the Addams movie, it was good. I liked it. The animation style was really good. It was kind of like the, not Pixar animation style, but kind of the DreamWorks Shrek animation style. It was kind of a change of pace. I didn't understand the premise of the movie, though, why they went for it. So the idea is, the Addams family lives in a house on top of a hill, and they're covered by that mist. This woman who wants to basically build houses and sell them next to the Addams family, but down the hill a little bit, drains the marshland, so all the fog leaves, and see it's a nice town, so they'll go down and talk to the people, and obviously the Addams family is not a normal family, because they don't like things, clean and nice and neat. They like things miserable and terrible and all that.
Somebody actually has their house designed exactly like the Addams family?
That's awesome.
Yeah, continue.
See, in real life, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
In the Addams family, well, that's weird and creepy.
Yeah.
But, so then basically the premise of the movie is about about being yourself, regardless of who you want other people want you to be. And it's very much like the entire movie. But then at the very end of the movie, it teaches you about compromise. Which is kind of a sharp left turn. But I guess that's what you want your kids to see, I guess. But, I don't know. I felt like the parents didn't really follow along for the entire movie. And I feel like that wasn't what I would have gone with. Because
but for like a kid's movie,
yeah, but
you're not the target audience.
Yeah, but think about it. The old Addams Family movie, they were weird and creepy and odd, and that was the joy of the show. And that they were, and this is how they were, and that was a big part of the joy of it.
Yeah.
And then
so wait, are they like sellouts?
I think I think James made a movie. They sold out the Addams Family a little bit. They sold them out some.
I don't like that.
The Addams Family is still the Addams Family, but they learned to cope. And then the people in the town also learn to cope.
Did you ever see Lurch hit a ball whenever, in the old school Addams Family, he had this like huge bat that looked like it was like straight out of like the Babe Ruth horror stories, and he could actually hit a ball like super far.
Oh man, dude, I haven't seen that in so long. I remember so many bits and pieces of that show.
Yeah, but okay, back to the animated version. So it just the plot didn't do it for you.
I didn't do the plot, no. And also, it used some kind of big words for a kid movie. Like, there's some things that go on, like, oh, not sure they really understood what that means. But I chuckled at it, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then, they got the awesome theme song, the snapping.
Oh, yeah.
They came on, I was like, yeah. Here's my ears.
Do.
Yep.
How many dips?
2.1.
That's not bad.
2.1 dips. Yep. I don't see a lot of anime movies, so I'm not really sure how it compares to other anime movies. But 2.1, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I as far as animated movies that I would actually go see, that's probably one of the few. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's not like they're trying to do, like I didn't really watch the Addams Family. I've watched bits and pieces of the colored one and I didn't like it. Just because it was so much like the old one, but it wasn't it. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you go to the animated version, like it would feel almost completely different.
Yeah, that's a bit too. Like I couldn't watch like human movies. But it was like a TV show. I could watch that just fine, but I couldn't watch human like movies.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure why. I just didn't like them. Like Casper, never really watched Casper.
No, I absolutely agree on that. So any bold predictions before we wrap this show up?
Before we wrap this show up this week, man, come back to me. I'll get one. Okay,
my bold prediction for this week is that. And we're going to talk about this next week. I have to write this down in my notes. We're going to talk about the XFL a little bit next week. The draft is this week sometime. My bold prediction is that Trent Richardson gets drafted into the XFL.
Okay.
He always gets drafted.
That's true, he will. Then my pick is Sam Darnold beats the Patriots. And then...
On Monday Night Football.
And then comes out that it's leaked it's quote unquote leaked that several people in that organization wanted to take Sam Donald over Baker Mayfield.
You know that's 100% what it's going to be. Hugh Jackson's going to be the first one on the train saying, "I told you I wanted him."
I've honestly never cheered against the Patriots before, but I really like Sam Donald. I really want him to win that game.
Yeah, and I'm in a weird balance because I really want Sam Darnold to win, but I want Adam Gase to lose. So you gotta pick your poison. You gotta pick your poison. And on that note, for Drake, for Latency, Dippers, as always, stay saucy.